My heart has never altered or changed since I was 10 years old, since I was born.
Mm.
My heart has never changed. So it will always be with love, peace, harmony, and nothing more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2 of Voices of Peace Personal Forgiveness, where we will talk about personal stories from our daily lives, and our guests will share the stories of forgiveness, their struggles, the obstacles they faced, and how they overcame them. Along with my co host, Fred Luskin, we will be talking about forgiveness and at times provide life coaching to help our guests and our listeners overcome obstacles to forgiveness and find more peace in their lives. Good morning, Fred. How are you today?
Hello, Eileen.
Today, our guest is Andy Woodward. Andy was sexually abused as a young boy by his coach, Barry Bennell. When his story went public, it prompted many more men to come forward with their own stories of sexual exploitation as young players. The scandal was the darkest chapter in Britain's football history, and it has triggered an international movement exposing widespread child abuse in football. As for Andy, he was silenced, and it took him many years of self healing and acceptance to speak again. It was his spirituality that became his true healing process to forgive, accept, and maintain his love for humanity, and to experience peace in his own life. So, welcome, Andy. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Why don't we just start with you sharing your story, which is an incredible story?
Yeah, we've got half an hour, but it'd probably take me a full day to actually tell you the full journey that I've been on. But in a synopsis, I started my life out as a normal child, well loved by both parents. Both parents quite soft in their approach with us, so it wasn't a strict background or anything like that. And then at a young age, I had a talent in football or soccer in the USA. And then I started playing for my town team. And then when I was playing for my town team, I was told by the football coach that there was going to be a scout there. So obviously at a young age, you're excited. And I played my heart out and I was chosen by this scout. Now, this scout was a scout for Manchester City at the time, which is a big club. And he saw obviously my talent, but he came up to my parents and said, we want him to go for a trial. So that's where it all began, really, in terms of how significant that day was of me playing, him being there, and me then choosing to go on this trial. Move forward 3 or 4 weeks, and I got chosen to be in a new team that he was building. When we talk about some football coach or anybody in a position of trust, he obviously saw my family. He'd identified the families that were softer. And then he asked my parents if I could go and start staying at his house at the weekend, which would enhance my football career. And back then in the 80s, it was not like it is now. So there was a lot of freedom for them to take advantage. And he did that all right. And I started to stay at his house. And within 3 or 4 weeks, the abuse started. And that changed my life forever. And unfortunately, at a young age, and the position of power that he had over not only me, but all the other boys in our team or other teams that had passed, I was locked in and I had nowhere to go. And I remember thinking to myself, I just wanted to cry. So a lot of the times I'd cry on my own, so my parents didn't see. And I just carried on with it. And this is systemic abuse. I'm talking every single day, right the way through from sexual assaults to rape. And this continued for such a long time. After a couple of years, I remember it well, he pulled me down the side of a sports place we were at. And he said to me, listen, Andy, he said, your sister, because she was cleaning for him and she was only 14. And he said, we're more than friends. I was in fear, but unbeknownst to me, he'd started a relationship with her and had raped her as well. And there was no conversation between me and my sister at the time, but I didn't know what he was doing, and I was only a young age. But not only had he got me, but he'd got my sister as well. So subsequently with that, it's powerful, but it's also it just shows you that position of power that he had over not just me, but there was hundreds of players between then. But he had something about me, what was and my sister, that was really important to him. And the rapes went on till I was 16, and then he ended up going to he went to America, and then I thought I'd got away with it. But then he come back and he ended up not only being my child coach, but my youth coach from 16 to 18. So I felt completely locked in. He then married my sister at 18. He then had two children with my sister, and I had to keep my mouth shut. And there's a haunting photograph of him at my sister's wedding with him and some younger boys in the picture with me, my sister, and her two children. That is mind blowing. What this is just to really explain a journey of power, abuse, and I just kept going. So I must have had some resilience in me, even back then, to survive it all. And many don't. So throughout my 20s, and I've had 4 marriages, I've had 4 divorces. That's the relationships you see from trauma. And I've always been with narcissistic people. And you tend to be drawn to that because you're a soft in nature and you want to be loved and cared for and hugged and held, and just them tell you them that they love you. But behind that is a sinister within humanity, that there is people that see that vulnerability in people that have been abused. So throughout that, but I couldn't identify that until recent years. So then I then went into the police force. I did that for 13 years. That was horrific, but I kept my mouth shut and said that I was okay. And during that time in the police was a very difficult time because police forces are notorious for power again and position of power. And then they'd heard about what had happened to me because I did an article. And lo and behold, within 18 months, I was sacked. Now, you can look at that whichever way you want to look at it, but there was something around that period of time, and I was going a slippery slope underneath. And I was seeing a therapist, and he said to me, "This is unbelievable, your life story, because people need to hear it to see how you survived and come through this and still be the person that you are, Andy." So via different channels, I ended up meeting Danny Taylor at The Guardian in the UK, and he could not quite believe what had happened to me in my life. In fact, he had to go home and lie down because he said that he could not grasp it. Move on from that, and he wanted to do an article. And for myself, I decided to do this because I wanted others, that I knew there was hundreds of others, but I also wanted to free myself from that burden of feeling like I was alone when I knew that there were so many others. So it was a mixture of that, really. And little did I know that when it did come out on November 16th, 2016, that I would be trending above Trump on that night. It then became an absolute boom. Everything took off. And my life went into a whirlwind. And it's been 10 years now, and what a journey I've been on.
So the articles that you were writing at that point was to expose the child abuse in the football world?
Yeah, it was to expose Barry Bennell because I knew that he was out of jail. I knew that he was in a place, and I knew because I'd spent years with him. Put it this way, I went to see him in 2002 in prison because I had a claim against another football club.
And was Barry the one who married your sister?
Yes, that
Okay.
was him.
Mhm.
And I went to see him, and how I went to see him, I'll never know. But this is the magnitude of the power he had. When I went to see him, he turned around to me and said, "I still love you, Andy."
Wow.
And instantly I went into child mode, and I got out and I cried my eyes out. And that is the power of these individuals. So yes, the article was to help to release it from myself, even though you do it through therapy, etc. It was, this is wrong. You have destroyed my life. But I also know that you've destroyed so many others that are out there, and I knew they were out there. Little did I know how big it would go.
How did you get from now you've broken your silence, which is so powerful, especially when you're dealing with trauma? How did you get from that to being able to forgive?
For many years, our own emotions that are within, we can expose them in different ways. Mine were internal, so mine was self-sabotage. So I would self-sabotage myself for what had happened to me. And I didn't get angry in any way. But there was no forgiveness there, Eileen. It was a case of me holding it all in. And I think by letting go that to the world and speaking about it, and the cathartic feeling that you're not on your own, I then started to sit back and think, some justice is coming here. I can't do anything. I'd learned so much about past and child, and we can't look back, and we've got to accept it. So acceptance is different to forgiveness. When I saw images in on the paper and things like that, I started to think to myself, I've got to forgive myself, and it comes in balance. If I don't forgive the other person or people, then this is how I see forgiveness. We can forgive ourselves and say, it wasn't my fault, but we're still left with that burden or feeling of somewhere within our souls that other individual has done wrong, which then affects our emotions internally. So what I did is I felt like a feeling of balance, where I started to try and balance myself out, to say, like anything in life, life's about balance. And if the balances aren't right, then there's a shift on there. And this is how I see forgiveness. It's about forgiving oneself, myself, but it's also about forgiving that other person or people or organization. And you can only do that in balance and harmony. You can't just go, oh, I forgive that person. No, it has to be in us, in our souls, because that's different to just when we speak out, we can say it to anybody, but we've got to internally forgive. And I think that's pretty much how my thought process was around forgiving the person in my soul, not just words.
That's where you get into the depth of forgiveness. And it becomes a spiritual practice, doesn't it?
It does. It does. But also, you can't start to forgive anyone unless you yourself have accepted emotionally within our soul. Because you can't jump to forgiveness without any acceptance to ourselves.
And that sounds like self-forgiveness, to be able
Yes.
to say, okay, these things have happened.
Yeah,
I did the best I could, and it is what it is. And I can move forward from that.
that's right. And that's about moving forward. And it's like when they say clean slate, you're then left with a clean slate. And the spiritual side of that is, again, I went on a spiritual journey, and within that, what I found is there's two sides to people when they say about spirituality. Is that, oh, they go, oh, they're bonkers, they're raving mad, them lot that do this and do this. No, this is about our spiritual souls. It's all about when they talk about our chakras and balance and harmony and meditation and yoga and all the different practices that are out there. It's all well and good. If someone says I'm 100% spiritual and that's all I live my life on, then that's not balance, because unfortunately we live in a human world, in a human body, which is, we can't take away from that. But if we can bring that balance of spirituality and humanity, that's the only way, I feel. And that's what I'm not there 100% yet, but that's my goal, to get to that point where I can understand the balance of that.
So let me ask you a question, marginally, but related to spiritual things. Your parents didn't protect you. Your God didn't protect you. How'd you work through that?
You're right there. What I had to accept with my parents, because until recently, there was still an element of abandonment and letting me down.
Yeah. And the same thing from whatever God force there is. I mean, you were left alone to handle things at a very young age that no young person could handle. And the kind of things that were supposed to protect you went AWOL.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then with that, where I'm at now at 52 years of age, and I've got more to come, I do believe we come into this life not on a mission, but for purpose. And it's like people that I speak to say, there's no way I could live with that. No way at all. I would not live on this planet with that. Now, my resilience is God's work because what it is in me is I've come into this world, albeit that I've suffered at the highest level. But then later in my life, I was able to give to help others around the world to have a voice. So that's my journey.
So you found a purpose, a deep purpose that connected you to spirit, that allowed you to make peace with what you went through, because there was a purpose that you could use it for. And it even made sense to you. That's almost why you took this birth.
That's right. You couldn't have said it any better there.
But that's a very powerful, down to earth spirituality. And it's not airy fairy. It's
No,
like every person has a cross to bear.
that's right.
And I hear you accepting that cross because it led you, it pulled you.
Yes.
What I'm also hearing is you were very clear that this really was your purpose and that you took the responsibility as well as not only in your own healing, so you could understand what that healing process was for you. And you were
Mm,
willing to do the hard work around that.
mm.
And then you were able to go out into the world and say, this is going to stop. This
Yes.
abuse is going to stop. This is what I had to go through. And hopefully, my story, which
Mm.
will help others. And I know that your story wasn't only told in Britain, it was also told in Argentina, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was told all over the world, and even Pele invited me to Brazil, where I changed the law for children out there. I've done interviews all over the world. I've been in magazines all over Europe. But unfortunately, with this topic, what was a real problem, um, when I look back on it, I must have had some powerful energy because with me myself, I was closed down and silenced, and a lot of things have happened to me over the years. And in this 10 years, I've suffered so much pain, and I've also taken pain from hundreds and hundreds of other people just helping them get through this process. But that what you just said there, Frederick, it's like this is my purpose, and I've now recharged over the last 4 or 5 years to ready for round two because I
Wow.
know what round two is going to be.
What courage.
What seems so important to me for what we're all doing is to distill that until you find some purpose, until you find something like that, you're a victim.
Yes.
And we see all over the world how ugly and dangerous it is
Yeah,
to hold on to that victim thing.
that's right.
You transform that
Mm,
into a purpose to help.
that's right. Yes.
That's a really powerful testament.
Yeah, because I don't see myself as a victim anymore.
It's
I
so
don't.
clear.
One of the things that I've observed is when people really take on the willingness to work on themselves towards forgiveness at
Yeah.
that soul level, something transforms in them where they become literally a beacon of light for others. And
Mm,
they use their journey of forgiveness to help create societal change.
that's
And that's
right.
exactly what you did.
Yeah. And then even over the last maybe 7 years, I've had to suffer a lot of pain by a lot of organizations, other individuals. Yet because of the learning that I did for the forgiveness of Barry Bennell and others that let me down as a child, I'm going through that process of forgiveness with all of them as well.
So are you also saying that the way you are transforming your pain is through the practice of forgiveness? And as you change your attitudes and thinking about others, that helps you to release your own pain.
That's right. 100%. And with that as well, with the spiritual guidance and knowing that I truly am on a journey cross mission, that I trust that what is destined for me will happen. I believe it.
As painful as this destiny is for you, you have just transformed it into something so powerful and so meaningful. And it's really a gift to humanity because of your willingness to go through what you're going through.
Yeah. And also, Eileen, just quickly, is that my heart, you see, our heart is an energy in its own right, just like the brain. My heart has never altered or changed since I was 10 years old, since I was born. My heart has never changed. So it will always be with love, peace, harmony, and nothing more.
It's interesting you spoke about that in terms of energetic frequencies, because that is the energetic frequency that you're also putting out to the world.
That's
We
right.
feel it, other people feel it, and it's a beautiful thing.
But in the simplest terms, you're here to remind people that no matter how much pain we've suffered, there's another part of us doesn't have to be touched or corroded by it.
That is right.
And I think that's also the essence of forgiveness, that there's a part of each of us that is separate from this pain and separate from bad treatment.
Yeah.
And I find that a lovely thing, that to be able to stand there and say to anybody, there's a part of me that's deeper than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The message also is that if we can get to that place within ourselves, which is what forgiveness does for us, it gets us to that place. We can know what peace truly is within ourselves, and we can always access that place. It's always there.
Absolutely. One other thing that I did truly understand about this world and about the spiritual world and about humanity is, I mentioned balance before, and our energy and frequencies are literally, it's been proven in science. And all that's wanted is that if we try in everything that we do to be balanced energetically, physically, mentally, spiritually, then we're not going far wrong. Like it's God created trees and they are strong, and the core of a tree tries to stay straight, and there's branches off the side, and we have a choice to branch off. But if we try our utmost to come back to center, that's just like us with our chakras. It's in a line. And when they're out of sync, something isn't right. And we try and bring it back to alignment.
That's a beautiful metaphor.
You're also reminding everyone that, like, moment to moment, we have some control over ourselves, our experience, what we put out. So let me ask you one question. What are some of the things you do to keep your energy balanced?
The main things that I do is I do prayer and meditation, like a lot of people do. But one thing that keeps me, because the Earth's core is an energy in itself. Not only does the universe up there, but it comes from underneath as well, like a straight line. So I try and go in nature as much as I can. And there's nothing better than water. So I always try and get myself within water. Every single night I have a bath. Anything with water, nature, meditation, and just calming our systems, because other people's energy throughout a day can take us as well. Events can happen that can take us away, just like that branch, where we just try and align ourselves and bring us back to earth, back to the center point. And that's pretty much what I try and do, the best of my ability.
That is just such an important piece of information, because especially with what's going on in this world today, our nervous systems can get thrown off so quickly. And we all need to have within ourselves our own processes in a sense of self-care. How can we keep our nervous system in balance? And that groundedness is such an important piece of it.
It is. And there's so many different things out there in the world around spirituality and you must do this. How about this? And it's all cost money. This is organic. It's been known in history, in science, in you name it, that nature and water are two things that are pure.
And that anybody can go out in nature and anyone can also sit and meditate.
Yes. Water is also there.
And water, I really need to be in it and see it. It's very calming and it does really balance.
Yeah.
So you bring a lot of wisdom into what you've learned. It's quite beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
What would you like to leave this audience with?
I would like just to say to whoever's listening to this that every trauma, every incident, anything that affects a human being deeply in the soul or heart, always remember there's no scale on this. It affects you yourself. No matter how people can say, oh, Andy, you've been raped all these times. I'm no different to somebody being hurt in their soul or going through their own trauma like anybody else. So believe in yourself that you're not wrong to feel your feelings. However, there is solutions to be able to let that go. Have forgiveness. Be yourself, because this world is full of beautiful souls and it can grow that, because I just would like people just to understand in our own souls, our own bodies, our everything else, our brains, nobody knows how much one incident can affect another. So just try and think of that and be kind. Always think before what you're going to say to another person.
Andy, if people wanted to get in touch with you, how could they do that?
I think at the moment, because my website's down, can I send you details?
Sure. We can put it in the show notes.
Andy, one of the things that I found teaching forgiveness all these years is people's insistence that my wound is bigger than everybody else's. That, you know, whatever I experienced is worse or deeper
Yes.
or harder. And that self-absorption literally keeps them stuck. And what I hear you saying, which is a really powerful takeaway, there's no scale to this. It's like we're all wounded.
Yes.
And the cure is some present-centered touch of something deeper. And I have to work on this all the time to stay in alignment with that deeper truth. And I hear that's what your life has taught you.
Yes, it has.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frederick. And thank you, Eileen.
So I really want to thank Andy Woodward for being a guest on our show today. And of course, to always thank Fred, who's always got such wonderful insights. If you'd like to know a little bit more about Andy, you can find more information in our show notes. Thank you for joining us in listening to Voices of Peace, Personal Forgiveness, where I hope you were inspired by the stories you heard about those practicing forgiveness in their daily lives and how this can help create social change. If you know of anyone who would benefit from hearing this episode, please share it. I would also like to remind my listeners that I'm available for forgiveness coaching. In this coaching program, you will learn why it is important to forgive, how to forgive, and how to let go of anger, pain, and grievances you may be holding on to. You will also learn how to live your life with more compassion towards yourself and others, leading to a happier and more peaceful existence. Contact me at erboris@gmail.com for forgiveness coaching sessions. For more information on forgiveness and political forgiveness, visit my website, drboris.com, where you can find the latest information and sign up for the newsletter. And please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.